started. So, yeah, I'm not going to clap like a teacher, but I might eventually. There is a sign-up sheet going around. If you guys don't mind signing in, just so we know who's here, that would be fabulous. We had a pretty stacked meeting planned. We were going to have Mr. Mullins-McLeod come speak. He is unable to make it. So what we are going to do instead, we have several candidates in the room. So we are going to have some candidates speak to us tonight. We have Ms. Catherine Fleming-Bruce in the room. Woo! So we're going to have her come up and speak to us for a little bit. You guys can ask some questions, and then we will move on to our other candidates who are sitting in here with us. We have Stephen Asbill, Reed Beeman, and Julie Zimmerman. So it's going to be a great meeting. All right. Here you go, man.
Thank you. Well, I went to the Jesse Jackson funeral here, and it was really something that inspired us to continue doing the work. So I'm so proud to do that. Pastor Charles Jackson also reminded all the speakers to keep to the time limit by saying amen. So anytime people were going too long, you say amen. So feel free to shout me out if that happens. But again, I'm Catherine Fleming-Bruce. I'm your candidate running against Lindsey Graham, repealing and replacing him in the U.S. Senate. And he is showing us every day more and more why he needs to go. Oh, yeah. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm an activist, an author, and a preservationist. So anybody who's been in the trenches around here for the past year, 20, 30 years, I've been there. Voting rights, the environment, women's movement, at the State House, helping to draft legislation, protesting, everything else, at the ICE, all of these things. So this is what I've been doing for a long time, and I think there are benefits, especially now, to putting someone in the seat who has an activist background. It means that you know a little bit about the issues, not just what your people on your team are telling you. You've had a chance to absorb the different positions. And it also means that people recognize who you are. So when you come in the room or you're saying something, they know, okay, this person is an activist and standing for these principles. So I think that's important. One of the things that I'm most proud of that I've done is that I was appointed by Clifton Newman, who was the nephew of I.D. Quincy Newman, civil rights activist during the 50s, to be the foreperson for state grand jury public corruption investigation. So we did that in 2015, and that was finding the connection between lobbyists, corporations, and our legislators. Our legislators, instead of working for us, actually doing the bidding of the corporations. So I was able to sign and execute subpoenas, and we also signed the indictments for 7 dirty, corrupt state legislators. So I think that's worth a round of applause that we got able to get some of those folks out of there. So doing that at the state level means it's easier to do that in Washington. And so that's a skill set that I want to take there. And it also is the only example, I think, that among us candidates running for U.S. Senate, that's a legislative work, because I was defending state law. And so nobody else in the field has done any of that. So I think that's important. I want to talk a little bit about electability. That's been something that has been a national issue. If you think back to Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, there was a point at which they were in a primary. And the Hillary team was trying to say that Barack Obama was not electable. Now, of course, they got stamped out kind of quickly back then. We're a little slower about stamping it out now. But what was his response to people saying that he was unelectable? Yes, we can. Okay, let's hear that again.
Yes, we can.
Okay, that was his response to somebody saying that, hey, there's some people who are unelectable. Electability is not about how much you've raised. You know, we know that from the 2020 U.S. Senate race. It's not about whether or not the elites pick you. It's about if the people pick you. So that is what I represent. And I also represent the idea that I'm not going to take not just corporate money. I'm not going to take foreign interest money. I'm not going to take foreign interest adjacent money, because now foreign interests are looking for ways to whitewash their money, looking for ways to slide it in so that people don't know what they're doing. So you have candidates who are talking about the Iran war and receiving endorsements and money from some of these same PACs. So we want to be careful. And I think you all are good arbiters and good investigators and can look and see who is receiving those endorsements and that money. But I will never receive that, because I want my voice to be an independent voice, a voice that the people can count on, and not a voice that carries us into war. Because that's what we're seeing happening. And you know, we see it in the Gaza actions and the U.S. investment in Gaza being attacked and almost destroyed. And people ask if that's a genocide. The percentage of people who have been killed, who have had to leave the area, who have been injured, is like 80% of the population of Palestine. So it's not something that I can be proud of, and it's something I intend to stop. So one thing that I want to leave you with also is that I don't feel myself a superwoman who's going to go up there and talk loud and stop everything. If I'm your primary choice for U.S. Senate, I'm also going to work not only on my campaign, but I'm going to work on other U.S. Senate campaigns to ensure that they win. And one of the challenges is to get out a rainbow coalition of the vote. So I think if you have people who look like the rainbow in the primary position, you will be able to get those other people out. And that's the challenge right now. We see that challenge in Texas. We're going to see that in other places. So I want you to, I'm going to pass out my flyers that I brought here. Check out the platform. Ask any questions, you know, now or later. But make sure that you know that Catherine Fleming Bruce is going to stand for you, and not for the corporations, not for the foreign interests, not for the foreign powers, ready to call them out and ready to make sure that we have a whole, I don't know, we need a mop and a broom when we go up to Washington. We're going to need a bucket, because it's going to be hard. So I look forward to supporting members of the House who are going to be coming in and needing federal resources. I look forward to supporting the new Democratic governor and being a partner with that person. And I look forward to supporting the other members of Congress that y'all are going to help send to Washington, so that all of us are working together to clean up this mess and create the future that we deserve. So thanks a lot for giving me a few minutes and not saying amen. Thank you.
Do we have time for some questions for the candidates?
Any questions?
Yeah. Do we?
Any questions at all?
I'll put my hand up.
Sure.
Yeah, I think the biggest one right now is for you or any other candidate. What is the number one thing that you need for someone that's interested to help you right now?
I think the biggest thing is that we have to have a rainbow coalition of volunteers. We have to have a network across the state of people from every walk of life being a part of the campaign. And not just a part of the campaign, but a part of creating the agenda, bringing your ideas, bringing your energy. So it's not just, you know, you're propping me up. You're helping to create, you're going to create a dynamic of change for South Carolina. So that's what we need most of all, I think. Any other question?
I may have a question.
Yeah.
Catherine, so your opponent, your general, your likely general election opponent is considered a foreign policy expert. So that, so how, so how, so how have you, so, so how have, so my question is, how are you reading, how are you reading up on some of the foreign policy issues that come up in the Senate and are and ha- and are you and are you and are you prepared to hold the administration accountable on some of these foreign policy issues that have come up, including the war in Iran?
Right. Well, that's a great question. I've always had an interest in international relations and affairs. So in my graduate program, I studied international institutions and foreign policy and a number of things. I had an interest in college and high school of bringing people together from different backgrounds, from different countries. We actually had a international group that was failing, and so we made sure we put that back together so that we have that coalition. But I always continue to read up on these issues. And as a matter of fact, next week, I'm going to be in a conversation with a foreign policy PAC for a possible endorsement. And there are a couple others that have reached out to me that I'm going to be talking with. So I hope to pretty soon be able to boast some endorsements from those organizations, especially those that are looking at nuclear nonproliferation. Looking at peace, looking at restoring some of our institutions like USAID, or creating a better version of that, if you will. So now we have the opportunity to create better versions. So I guess that's a silver lining with the destruction we have now. So how can we make sure that we have alliances that respect us again? Because God knows. Yeah. That's going to be a real issue. So whoever is put into this role, especially with Lindsey Graham being such a visible person, is going to have to help regain the trust of our allies, of our partners. And so I look forward to doing that. I think I would be able to do that very well. And I think I'd probably be able to do that better than some of my other primary opponents. Yes, thank you. Thank you all.
Okay, well that was fabulous. Who would like to go first in terms of additional candidates to speak? Julie?
And I'll let the actual members go last.
Oh, there was no doubt in my mind Julie was going to put her hand up. I want to be so clear. You said who wants to go first? I was
You were
like,
like, it's Julie.
I'm waiting on Julie.
Do we want to give a timer here? We feel comfortable just
We've
letting it go.
With the amount of time we have, I think
Yeah.
it's fine, especially
The whole can just be like this.
Yeah.
You ignored me last time.
I think with
You were this.
Oh, okay, I need to be
Yeah.
correct.
You look like
so,
that.
with your agenda you have, we could do
How's everyone doing this evening? I'm really glad that I have an opportunity to fill some time and talk to what I feel are like my little brothers and sisters in the community. I feel like I'm the big sis at Young Dems, and I appreciate y'all making me feel welcome. I know that y'all know my name's Julie Zimmerman, and I am running for House District 71, which is out in Irmo, Ballantyne, and Chapin. A lot of people think it's only Lexington County, and I think that's why it's sometimes forgotten about in Richland County. There's only 2 precincts. I think Mercurius said there's about 2,000 voters in Lexington County, which are very important, but everything else is in Richland County. And so I'm really invested in bringing progress not only to the district, but to the State House. And I've always been like a proactive person, and I approach life like that. I am a therapist, and like I said at my convention speech, I think it's high time that we probably need a therapist at that State House. I didn't quite have enough time to speak on what makes me say that, but I know, and you guys know, week after week, day after day, it's either a bathroom bill, worrying about where somebody goes to the bathroom, something about controlling a woman's body, making doctors leave the state, 10 Commandments, naming highways after people that don't have really any connection to South Carolina. And that not only costs time, but it costs money, right? Wasted time is money. We might as well just go light the money on fire. And so particularly like these naming the bills after Donald Trump and Charlie Kirk, because I was in straight commission sales for 18 years and the people I sold to were municipalities, public and private businesses. So I have a little bit of knowledge about how things cost and the dynamics and the things that goes into doing something like that. So my question to my representative who voted for that, my opponent, and the other people that voted for it, how much is it going to cost the DOT sign shop that is out on Bluff Road to not only get the materials, those signs are not cheap. They have to make the signs, that is labor. Then they have to get in their trucks, which cost money to maintain, put in gas. Then they have to go out there, sometimes in dangerous situations, to put up signs for what? Because I said in one of my Facebook, I call it like a little mini rant, mini little southern rant, but it seems like the Republicans, particularly up there, have an audience for one, and it's not the governor. It's like they're trying to create a little mini DC. And I'm from South Carolina. I was born here, raised here, grew up in the country. I've been living in Irmo, which I feel is like the city, because we had access to like a, I don't have to drive 20 minutes to go to Target or the mall. I grew up in Saluda. We had to go to Greenwood or Newberry for everything. I also grew up in Turbyville and in Scranton. So all of these little towns. And it just seems to me that we've lost the plot. And everything they say, it's about us and they're caring. They've created this narrative as to if you're white and Christian, then you must be Republican, right? And I'm not really trying to get into religion, but you know that's true. They have gaslit people that look like me, that, they've forgotten the roots of being like a Southern Democrat. Alabama has a song about it, Song of the South, right? And we need to get back to speaking truth to power, right? And so when I'm elected, I'm going to go to that State House and cause some good trouble. I'm going to be in those committee meetings. And I am going to use every conflict resolution skill that I have, that I teach my clients every single day, that I use in my personal life, to make change for you guys, because y'all are the future, right? I'm a Gen Xer, so I heard a TikTok that said, Gen X is the youngest of all the old people, so I'm on that side. I said, I can vibe with that, even though I don't really see myself as 50 in my mind, but I am. I'll be 51 next Thursday. And I will actually be filing for office on my birthday. And I will be doing an all-day fundraiser, donate $51, because Julie is 51. Okay, so y'all keep that in mind, all right? But when I get there, not only am I going to cause good trouble, but I'm going to be in those committee hearings, because my life is like a Afghan. I don't know if any of your grandmamas made an Afghan, right? But there's an Afghan at my Nan and Granddaddy's house, God bless their soul, in Scranton, and I'm trying to get my aunt to bring it up. But because my life particularly is like the Afghan. It's been the good weave, not the other weave. But a fabric of my life is South Carolina. And I really believe that I can speak plainly to some of these people that might not think that they're Democrats. They've been labeled as Republicans. And I want to get up there and make sure when I'm on a committee and these things are trying to be just pile drive through, that I know what amendments that I can put in to cog the wheels. I want to be in the well and advocating for everybody. As you guys know, I've done a lot of work planning protests out in Irmo. I've testified at the subcommittees. As much as I can get to the State House and I'm not in my office, I'm there. I want to go and talk, again, speak truth to power. And I'm going to use my privilege of my skin tone to make sure that no one is going to shut me up, okay? Many people have tried, but it's just not going to work out. So I know some of y'all aren't in my district, but again, when I get there, I'm going to be working for everyone. So I need you guys' support, and I have a couple of opportunities. I have an anytime phone bank. So let's say you're bored and you're like, I don't want to watch the news, I don't watch the shows. Guess what? You can get on there. It's got the script. You can call from wherever for as much as you want, and that will be a big help. And I think so far, last count, we've called about 1,200 voters, which I think is great. Pardon? Okay, 1,300. He's my numbers man over there. And we sent out our first text in February, and we texted 8,500 likely Democrats. And so right now I'm focusing on raising money, the $350 it takes to actually get that text to go out for March, okay? And so voter contact is very important because there has not been anyone running in this area. And another reason I'm running, I am sick of writing Mickey Mouse in to win District 71. And that's for real. I'll write Mickey Mouse in every single time, and I've been doing this since 2006, okay? And the other opportunity I have is this Saturday in Irmo from 11 to 1. We will be doing our first door knocking event. And so if you're available, both things are on Mobilize. I think Marcurius put that in the Signal chat. So if y'all are available, I would love for you guys to come out and help me knock doors. And again, you know, I'm really thankful that I have Reed and Stephen. We call ourselves Candidates United. We're a trifecta of hope. And I'm just really proud to be like a people's champion. My daddy coached football for 43 years in South Carolina. He also coached girls basketball, boys and girls track. And so I grew up on the athletic fields, even though I could have been really good at basketball, but unfortunately I cannot dribble and run at the same time, which would have been a problem. But I ran track. I was a cheerleader, so if you notice, I'm a little loud and outspoken and opinionated. Not only did my daddy and my mama raise me to be strong and independent, but because I'm a cheerleader and I won most spirited my senior year, that's going to be translated in how I move and work at that State House. So again, I really appreciate you guys giving me an opportunity to talk. Oh, and one last thing. I have officially hit my first fundraising goal of $10,000 as of Saturday. And that money came from me calling people out of my Rolodex and just calling. My average donation is $38. And so the next goal is $15,000. By the time the election comes around, we want to raise $50,000, and y'all can be a big part of that. So whether it's $1 or $1,000, you want to put it on like a layaway plan and do it monthly, it's up to you guys. But every dollar counts, and you know, I know being young and paying rent and all of that stuff, I remember that. So I'm not saying, you know, don't pay your rent to donate. But when you have an extra $5, instead of going to get that cup of coffee, make it at home and say, you know what, I'm going to put it on my account, Reed's account, Catherine's account. Spread it around like I do. I'm a $5 to $10 donation kind of gal, and I just spread it around, okay? And again, those links are up on Mobilize, and I really appreciate y'all. And I've got some things so y'all can look at my other parts of my platform. And I would be glad to take any questions that anyone has. Yes.
I think a lot of people in this room could sometimes kind of get brought into like this doom cycle of seeing everything bad going on, you were consistently the most energetic person, candidate I've seen, and happy-go-lucky. What keeps you excited and motivated the most?
Well, it's been a really hard road to toe. I will be honest, it's been a lot of therapy, okay? And about 25 years ago, I started to really get into studying Buddhism, okay? And just working on being grounded, okay? I feel like sometimes we can, again, get swept away and we feel like we're in the hurricane instead of being in the eye of the hurricane. And I'm a human, I'm a therapist, but I work every day to see the light. And joy is a form of resistance, you know? I may cry when I get home and be frustrated, right? But I release those emotions so they don't get pinned up so I can be effective, right? And when I am motivated and I have a goal, I can sleep when the election's over and when I win, okay? And there's like this internal energy that comes from a place of wanting to create real change for the state I was born in, raised in. My relatives came over from Germany in 1781 to help settle the Dutch Fork area, right? And so South Carolina is in my blood. You know, like I said at the convention, I'm as South Carolina as boiled peanuts, because I really am, right? But that goes to show, just because you're from South Carolina doesn't mean you're some backwood hick and you're like a Republican and you've got these thoughts. And so to your question, it's just about being mindful and being grounded and understanding we cannot consume. It's like a blitzkrieg, y'all. We can't consume everything. You got to pick one or two things. You get on your phone and you're like, oh my God, this is making me want to just go do something or go cry or go order a pizza and eat it by myself and cry, right? Get off your phone. Go watch a puppy video. Call a friend. Do something. I find the greatest joy in the frustration of finding something to do. That doesn't mean you can do everything, but you can do one thing and you can put that one foot in front of the other, because in order to get anywhere in this life, you got to take action. The trying is the doing. And sometimes I know it feels like we're not getting ahead, but we got to keep on the road. We are in the eye of the hurricane, which is the calmest part, right? It might be a storm around us, but you've got to find that inner peace. And again, it's just been something I've worked at, so to answer the questions. Anybody else? Yes, Tim. Hi. Uh-oh. That was mischievous.
So,
Not a gotcha question, I hope.
no.
Okay. Okay.
No, because, I'm more of an economic policy sort of guy. So, should you win, which you will, I'm sure. As of basically last month, South Carolina is the fastest growing state in the union.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry for anyone who's a suburbanite. You're going to have to get used to the fact that we are going to have people from California and New York coming down and living here. So, should you win and be in the House, what are your plans regarding the future, presenting legislation for the future growth of the state regarding housing and investment on infrastructure and transportation?
Well, because I had 18 years in straight commission sales and I sold to DOTs, municipal plants, I could go talk to the public works director or the sanitation director and ask them, why are they spending $2 on grease and bearings and gearboxes are full of water and going out? Why aren't y'all properly patching holes? I live in New Friarsgate and there's a paving project. It's the jankiest thing I've ever seen. Janky, okay? I talk to Nicole about it all the time. I got to figure out who I need to go talk to because, so part of that is my experience, okay? And some knowledge. Do I know everything? No, I don't. And I'm not afraid to say I need to get some more research. But I do know that housing is important. I grew up and I bought my first house in 2003. I was 28, new in sales, making more money than I was like, oh, I'm gonna go buy a house. I didn't expect that. I thought I was gonna be a renter my whole life. But fortune smiled on me and I invested, and I've been in Irmo for 25 years, but I know it's not like that now, okay? And we need to we need some education on how to build finance and what it takes to, get a mortgage and what you need so that way you can plan, because if you don't have a plan, you're not going to really get anywhere. So part of it is like getting like financial education, getting into communities, also like all these like areas where it's like a warehouse or like call it like a dead area, a dead zone, where we don't have, it's a food desert, it's a housing desert, it looks desolate. It's like you're waiting for the, tumbleweed to go by. I think we need to, reclaim some of those, places where it's like, can we turn those into houses? I like the tiny house, idea for unhoused folks, and for other folks that want to buy a house, you should be able to. But again, it goes back, it's a waste of, they're just wasting people's time and they're not doing anything for anyone. So I think that's a complex issue, but definitely I will be getting in there and learning what I don't know, but also using my 18 years of experience in the business world and being a really effective salesperson who knew nothing about what a gearbox was or a bearing or what a cement plant was or what a cement truck did. But I went in there and learned. So if I can learn that and do it for 18 years and train people, I can do that, right? And also, like the infrastructure, people are moving in. Well, where are we gonna go? We're kind of running out of room, right? Also, where are the kids gonna go, right? We don't pay the teachers. Both of my parents are retired school teachers. So I understand seeing teachers with master's degree having to go, work extra jobs to keep the lights on. I understand what it's like to get a job when I'm 14 at a peat shed. My daddy is a maintenance supervisor. I don't know how that happened. But anyway, he's not a maintenance supervisor. He's a football coach. But in order for me to get my cheerleading shoes and pay for camp, and I've been working since then. I understand what it's like to worry about how am I going to get food on the table? What do I need to pick? I understand that life. And I still have to live within a budget. I don't have lawyers and doctors and influential people in my family. We're farmers and helpers. So we don't make a bunch of money. So I care about investing in teacher pay, right? Teachers, if you make master's degree, my cousin is a PhD. She teaches up in Greenville. She doesn't make what a PhD professor would at USC, and that's stupid, just plain old stupid, right? So we need to pay teachers so that way they stay, and that way when the people come in with kids, there's a school, right? Roads, we can't just be like putting up houses and then there's no grocery stores, all the roads are clogged. So it's almost like we've got to say, what's the goal? And then have a back approach where we're filling in the gaps and talking to people in different communities. What do you need? Your neighborhood's going to be different than, what do you need? It's going to be different. So I think part of it is having those conversations with people to find out what is going to work best for you, because I don't have all the answers. But again, it seems like everybody up in that state house seems like they've got all the answers, and it's like a lost touch. And so, again, I think that's a complex issue. But yes, people are, for whatever reason, they got that smiling faces and beautiful places, and they're like, let me come to South Carolina. So here we are, and that's great, but there's problems in that, and it's sort of like we're playing catch up instead of going, the people that are seeing all the population growth, let's plan while we're going, and now it's like a boomerang. So we're gonna have to catch up. So when I get there, I'm gonna be working on those issues too. So.
Alrighty, that was fabulous. Thank you, Julie. What I am going to ask of our candidates, if you have a phone bank or anything else, if you could send that to a leadership member so we could share it in the chat all at once after this meeting, just so everybody has access to that, that would be wonderful. I know we have two more. Who wants to go next?
I'll go check this out.
Awesome. All right.
everybody. I think everybody pretty much knows me in here. I'm Reed Beeman. I was your former vice chair. Last year, stepped down though so I could run for Lexington House District 87 out in Lexington. And it's nice to be back. It's been a while since I've been here, but it's good to see everybody. And I would definitely say that I'm proud of y'all. I'm proud of like where we've come from over the last year and where this organization continues to grow and where we're going. Because without every single person in this room, we cannot win South Carolina. It's going to take all of us. Because I know, like everyone else in here, that it takes the phone banking, the volunteering, the door knocking to get there, as well as the funding, unfortunately. But it's what we need so that we all can win up there at the State House. And we can actually make change happen here. So I didn't prepare anything really to come up here and just talk to y'all because I thought we'd only have 2 minutes. So, which is okay. But I mean, for those of you that don't know me, I'm a dad. And when I'm not watching my son Nate, who's 2, I'm also a comic book artist. So yes, I draw funny superhero pictures and everything. But I got involved in politics because of my son, because he is 2. And I'm realizing that we cannot wait. Our time is too dire. And the time is now that we have to act. If we continue to wait, we will let fascism and corruption continue to control our government. It is slowly coming to South Carolina from Washington. And that is the greatest thing that I fear, is that our government here will become a little Washington. And our friends, we will become more vulnerable. And we will start seeing our people disappear off the street. We are seeing that already, but it's going to get worse. And I don't want to see that happen. I don't want to see anybody in this room to get taken out one night by a secret police squad or anything like that. So that's why it's going to take all of us together, to come together, and to try to work with all the different candidates, like with me, Steven, and Julie, and like, because we need the door knocking. We need people that are going to want to phone bank, even though it's not that fun. We still need people to go and like make the calls, because like we're making the calls too. And the biggest thing is being comfortable being uncomfortable. Because the thing is, here in my district, it's 30% Democrats and the rest of them Republicans. So the thing is, I cannot alienate my Republican voter by saying stuff that would maybe cater too much to the Dem side. I have to cater to everybody and hear what their needs are and how I can meet them. Because I think, like what Julie said, that sometimes in South Carolina, and some of the Republicans, they get labeled as a bad image because of what we see on the media. Is that true? Yeah. Some of the times it's not. Everyone's complex, and everyone's more than one thing. Like, even though I'm a dad, I'm a comic book artist, I'm also trying to run for the South Carolina House seat. But the thing is, we're all more than one thing. And we just need to realize that and try to find commonality amongst ourselves. Because I think there's a lot more Republicans here that align with the values that we have, that are not talking about social issues that are coming from the mass media, that have seemed like that they're overpopulated now here in South Carolina, like they're taking over the mainstream media here. So they're concerned with more federal issues than they are with state issues. Because like we have failing schools that we need. We have some of the worst senior homes in this state. We always have constant elder abuse that seems to be happening. We also have the problem with our schools not being adequate, and we are not paying our teachers what they need at all. And I think that is terrible, because we need everything to work together, and so we can build the next generation, and that we can make South Carolina the best that it can be. And that's kind of all that I had. Haley?
So you have the stats. You said in your district
Mhm.
it's 30-ish percent
Mhm.
Democrats and the rest are Republicans. So far you've probably talked to a good bit of Republicans, is what you're telling me.
For right now, I've just focused on talking to the Democrats. So like we went ahead and we mass texted about 8,000.
Yours was
6,000,
6,000.
and then we heard back from about 3% of people. So what we're trying to do is like focus on the Dems that we know that are there, and then talk to the Republicans as well. The good thing is that in my neighborhood, because I'm the HOA president, I talk to Republicans all the time. So, and I'm the only Dem really in my family, so I talk to them all the time too. So I think that kind of, I don't know, gives me more of a connection because I grew up in it, and that I don't really see a divide sometimes. I just see a person.
So if you speak to them a lot, what are the issues that they do bring up that aren't the social ones that we see so much? Like what are you hearing from people as you talk to them?
A lot of times what people are telling me is that they can't afford anything. They're talking about they can't afford gas, they can't afford food, they can't afford medicine. And those have been really the three biggest things. Also, surprisingly, sometimes some of the women will come up and say women's rights. So I think that's really telling as well, is that they may not tell their husband that, but they'll tell me that. And they'll tell me that about the state house. Because like we need to protect women's rights here. We are a terrible state. We do not protect women, especially in domestic violent cases. And we don't protect children in domestic violent cases either. Because it is stupid that you have to have a forensic psychologist give a child a test to prove before the judge will listen to them unless they are 14 years old. Does anybody else have another question? Wes?
I think one thing that you said like change here now, which I thought was really cool. What are some of the changes you're hoping for in District 87 in your tenure?
What I'm hoping for is to fix the roads, because like our roads are awful. Like I really want to know like how much money they keep spending on like just covering the potholes up, because by the week after the potholes are right back. So we keep wasting money. And we're also, for the fact, I want to try to fix our infrastructure that we have there, because right now Lexington's seeing an influx of growth and expansion to the point that our power grid and our water and sewer can't keep up. We saw that there was about 6 million gallons of like raw sewage that like spilled in Lexington, even though the town said they've been able to fix that and stuff like that. There's going to be more people. More people means more sewage, more power that's going to be consumed, more water that's going to be needed and distributed throughout Lexington County. So my thing is trying to fix the infrastructure, and also kind of like what I'd like to see is like maybe see some busing routes put in, and maybe even we could get a light rail that is set up between Lexington and Columbia. Because I know someone asked earlier, or Julie said about, where are we going to put everybody? I mean, we can go up, we can't really go out, but we need to have that alternative that people can get around. Because even in my area too, like we have food deserts, and we have a large homeless population that lives in the woods in Lexington County. And they cannot get resources that are available to them because we do not have public transportation. And we cannot expect these people to walk 5 to 10 miles who are elderly. Most of these people that live in the woods are pensioners. They're pensioners that can't afford to pay the rent anymore, because there's nothing in Lexington that's under like $900 and some. Tim?
I know everybody think I was going to go with the infrastructure route. I'm not going to. I'm full of surprises tonight. No, with your son, and education is an important thing. As the son of a school teacher, it's important to me as well. And
I would, to start off with that question for about the teachers, we in the South, because I was an art teacher, I taught in North Carolina, and I only made $25,000. And then they changed it on us. And if they said that if I left the state, when my wife got a job in Florida, they said, well, when you leave, you can't come back into the system where I would have had automatic retirement, and I would have been able to have, like, basically my health insurance would have been covered into my retirement. They said I'd lose that, and I wouldn't have that. So I think we're holding education hostage because we don't want to pay the teachers, and we need to pay the teachers because our schools are failing. I think right now each teacher in the state should be making $100,000, and I think they need to have they have Medicare, or not Medicare, but they have the ability that they will retire, their health insurance will carry on. That should be something that we give them because they're a public servant. What they're doing is the greatest thing possible, which is teaching a child, nurturing the next generation. Because my God, y'all, some of these kids can't even read, and they're graduating now. There's kids that can't read above a 6th grade level. That is a big problem. And they're making laws, and they're having the next generation. But the thing is that for us to have quality educators, we have to give them quality pay. We can't expect them to work for peanuts, especially the hours that teachers work. Everyone thinks, oh, it's great that you only work like half the year, you get your summers off and everything. That is complete and utter bull, because that doesn't happen. There's more developmental days that you have to go in and be a part of, and that is not to mention the amount of workload you have after hours to make sure that you have, because I taught at a school, I taught kindergarten through 8th grade. I had 800 students. I taught 800 kids every week. Did I know everyone's names? No. But I tell you what, I had to make sure that my planner was laid out so if the principal walked in my room, she could come up to my desk and look at it and know what I was teaching. My biggest thing is with education is I've tried to make it fun. And our system that we have now, because I know some of y'all remember school, even though I'm a little bit older than some of y'all here in the room. Some of you, except for Nicole. But, I know. Yeah. But school used to be fun. And I remember it being fun, but I remember the kids that I taught, they hated school. And I remember so many of them were like, Mr. B, they were like, I love coming to your class because it's so fun. And the reason why it was fun is because I took the curriculum and threw it out the door. So the thing is, I taught the kids. Of course, I taught them in line with the curriculum, but I didn't follow the curriculum. I made it fun. And that's what we kind of need. We need that spontaneity.
Well, to follow up on that, though, on the other end of the spectrum, regarding our universities, I mean, I know most of us went to Carolina, but I know some probably went to College of Charleston or something like that. Affordability of the colleges is getting out of control, particularly at Carolina and the College of Charleston. Regarding trying to knock some of that tuition cost off with enforcement from the state, would that be a possibility to pursue, particularly, or at least try to keep funding out of the hands of individuals who are trying to curb that because of their personal issues, like what we saw recently, how one lawmaker wanted to cut $2 million from Clemson because they had an issue with Charlie Kirk. How will we pursue trying to retain an affordable cost for the universities?
Well, first off, there's no problem with cutting funding to Clemson ever.
I'm not gonna answer about cutting to Clemson because I don't feel like I have a dog in the fight for that. But what I will say is that that's wrong. You shouldn't, because you disagree with something going on, you shouldn't cut the funding for school, because all that's doing is hurting other people. And the education in this country has gotten to the point that it is out of control, that you have to go into debt to get a higher education to better yourself. But it's going to take more than just a state issue. That's like more of a federal issue that needs to get involved too. But the state could probably do a little bit with helping making stuff affordable, preferably especially housing and the availability of housing for young people when they come in and they go to college. Because we need to make it affordable, but also make it a nice, safe place for when they come. Because I feel like a lot of times it gets overlooked that a lot of the colleges now, the campuses are still small, or the campuses are growing so much that they're consuming everything around them, and we need a little bit better planning. Yes, Austin.
Okay, so one last question before we put Steven on, and Julie, Steven, you can both answer this too. So recently, literally in the last 24 hours, the legislature passed the House rather passed a bill to lower the state income tax from where it currently is, which I think is just around 6% to on a trajectory toward under 2%. So my question is, considering that a lot of the state's current functions are paid with the state income tax, where are we getting the money to run the state?
I think that's more a question for the state than it is for Reed.
Yeah, hey Reed, that bill you didn't vote for.
I know. Harsh.
But something the three of you and anyone running for state
Right.
should seriously think of.
Yeah, it's more.
Well,
Because there are even people who are trying to lobby for the elimination of property taxes as
I know.
well.
Well, what I can definitely tell you, I don't agree with what the State House is doing. I don't agree with them dropping it, because all it's going to do is cut funding. It's going to hurt people. And it's going to hurt people that they may not necessarily see right now, but it'll become more apparent. And like Julie said about them, most of the people that want this aren't going to be affected by it. And I also feel like it's going to come out of our pockets. It's going to come out of our everyday people's pockets. They will cut whatever they can, and then they'll say, good luck trying to get a federal grant, or good luck trying to get money from somewhere else. I mean, we can't squeeze everyone dry in this state. We get double taxed, seems like all the time, but that doesn't mean we get rid of the state income tax. We need that. We need that money. And we need to be able to build stuff here in South Carolina, or at least maintain what we have, and then make it better.
Is it okay if I say something to that? I was just going to say, the state level, it's not like the federal level where you can run $22 trillion of debt.
Yeah.
So we have to have a balanced budget. So some levers will be pulled. It's just, I don't know what they are yet. But either sales tax has to go up, or property, or some kind of something's going to have to go up to accommodate that, because the state can't indefinitely run a deficit. Now, I do know we have a rainy day fund, but it wouldn't offset the amount the income tax elimination would eliminate.
Well, also, because Stephen and I have talked about this before, that with the budget, the way that it's set up, we don't go back and zero the budget out. It just stays the same. So whatever, at least how I've understood it, whatever gets put into the budget stays in the budget. It doesn't get taken out. So if someone last year submitted, let's give $20,000 to Clemson for a new veterinary hospital, they're going to get $20,000 again this year, because the budget is not taken back down to zero. And that we need that. I mean, we need more of a self-auditing, but it's not like we have anybody up at the State House right now that can possibly do that. So, does anyone have any other questions?
I just wanted to piggyback off my candidate united trifecta, my little brothers. When you think about sales tax versus property tax, everyday working people like Reed, unhoused people, we are taxed to obliteration, okay? You know why they threw all that tea out in that harbor in Boston, right? Right? Because they taxed something that didn't make any sense. Now,
Well, that was what I was going to add to Julie's comment, and then I'll leave the podium because I know Stephen needs to talk, because I know we're running out of time. But one of my big things that I'm running for is love thy neighbor. And I firmly believe in that we need that here. And, I hear all the time that up at the State House that they're run with Christian values. But what kind of Christianity are they actually running with? Because what I see is they're hurting people, and they're hurting the average South Carolinian. That doesn't say love my neighbor. That says you're hurting your neighbor. And that should be illegal.
We have one more question from
It's
Nicole.
not a question, it's just a comment.
Okay.
Can I speak briefly on taxes?
Would you like to come up and speak briefly on taxes so we can allow Stephen to speak as well?
Yeah, no, I will be quick. So the only thing that I just wanted to say, I wanted to throw out just a little bit of information because I've looked at how the State House is looking at our taxes. So there are pros and cons to all taxes. Personally, I am okay paying taxes as long as the money is going towards something that helps people and is good for the general good. They are cutting our state income tax, which is one of the only progressive taxes that we have. And what I mean by progressive is that we tax our rich people more than our poor people. Whereas we're now relying more on sales tax, which impacts poor people more than it affects rich people. So it's really looking at where the money is coming from. Like property taxes, those are kind of tricky sometimes because you can be taxed out of your own house. But like an income tax, again, I support an income tax. I like an income tax because the more money you make, the more you put in, because $20 to somebody making $20,000 a year, $25,000 a year as a teacher is a lot of money, but somebody who's making $200,000 a year, $20 is not that much. I believe too that they're only cutting income tax for people who are making like $1 million. Of course.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody
Yeah.
below that, they're actually increasing.
Yeah, and they've,
So
yeah,
they're making up that difference. They're just trying to help rich people. So like,
Ding.
yeah.
Listen
so
to the
this whole
poor
idea
people
that they're
complain.
like framing it as we're lowering taxes, but they're only lowering it for people who are really, really, really rich. And so it's not really what they claim it is.
And that is why I love my home state, because they are hunting down every millionaire in New York and getting that money.
Wow.
Really quick,
We,
just for
South Carolina is a
all the
beautiful
candidates
state.
in the room, I think something that's important to consider, I never talked about, is that's going to be important for the next year, coming years, is data center building
Yes.
and
Oh,
construction
yeah.
in the state. And we need to focus on leveraging that for tax revenue and not just getting used by mega corporations
Correct.
and have that negatively impact us. So to hear more of y'all's thoughts on that in the future would be great.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. That's spoke a lot of fear too. I mean, water supply. Yeah.
So now we'll have Stephen Asbill.
I'm honored you all showed up to hear me talk tonight. I really appreciate it. No, I'm sorry the governor candidate wasn't here, but I really do appreciate it. You guys are one of the honest reasons that I am running for House District 85. I, after the 2024 election, I was very distraught, went through a phase of discouragement, and was really focused on the federal level, leaving that to higher level folks to do that. And I realized that I had neglected my state level. So I looked back at my state rep, a lot of things that he'd signed on to, and what's been going on with my community, and decided that I could make a difference here. District 85 runs from the Lexington County half of Irmo all the way up to Chapin. It has some area around the lake as well. I'm born and raised there. I have now lived in I recently moved to Coldstream, so now I've lived in the two biggest neighborhoods in both Lexington County and the district. I have not done tech surveying of my folks yet, but I have done a lot of canvassing in those neighborhoods. And I have now centered, at a later day I'll tell you why I'm doing this at length. I have other reasons I'd really like to tell you my emotional connection to why I'm here as well. But I was the campaigns chair last year, and every time I think about ICE in Columbia, I think of our mayoral candidate, Jessica Thomas, that was just here, and how different it would be if she had been in charge when this was going down. That's why these elections matter. But for now, I'm just going to tell you what my platform is going to be centered on. I'm a pharmacist at Prism Health Richland. I have served in the retail space as well, independent pharmacy and CVS, but my primary role, I work with the USC Internal Medicine Group, and I make treatment plans all day long for every patient comes in, pneumonia, skin infection, what have you, anything you can imagine that puts you in the hospital. And my job has gotten harder and harder and harder because prescriptions are more and more difficult to obtain. They just are. Insurance coverage is every year, I feel like, generally is a little worse for patients. So prices are higher. I'm seeing that as well, and I know Mark's here tonight can share a lot of similar things, but I cover a stroke unit with 35 beds. 28 of those patients, as of the last time I covered it about a month ago, 28 of them were cured of their acute stroke, meaning they're stable enough to go home, but they're stuck in the hospital because there's no facilities to take them. And all those Medicaid cuts everybody heard about last summer, that makes that 10 times harder. So now you've got nursing homes that are about 65 to 75% funded by Medicaid. They're going to have fewer beds to offer because they have fewer staff to pay. So we have a lot of problems that are just ramping up further and further. So that's where one of the things I think that I can contribute on, because I have a decent experience level with the healthcare system to have some ideas to fix that. So my first thing is healthcare. And we do that by expanding Medicaid, and I think taking all the vertical monopolies that, such as PBMs, that are, CVS Caremark tells you where to fill your prescription and where you can be seen, in your network for your physician, for example. Second thing is workers' rights. This came to my attention actually from canvassing. So as was suggested with the data centers, that has bothered me a lot too. But I've actually met people now who have been laid off because of AI at the Amazon warehouses. Talked to a gentleman from UPS that is apparently worried about the same thing. So I think we need some kind of workers' protections. First of all, I think there should have to be a reason that you get fired. I don't think that there should just be no firings. I think that should be changed. I think collective bargaining needs to be re-legalized. That message needs to come higher why that matters. So you can't just lay off, you can't just buy a computer system and lay off your whole workforce. That is damaging to our populace, it's damaging the state's economy. I also think, and I recently learned this, we do not have a minimum wage in South Carolina. The minimum wage of $7.25 is federal, and so we're under that, but we do not have our own. I absolutely support raising that. The last thing, and I'm hoping you will all, this will get me some smiles, is animal rights. We have a tremendous issue with, I know at least one. Blake does fundraisers for animals. We have a lot of not only animal cruelty and neglect, but we also, just at the micro level, don't have enough shelter space in Lexington County. It has the fewest beds per residence out of any county in the state. So I would really like to see the state prioritize that globally, but in terms of my district, that could help by supporting Lexington County Animal Services, who has increased their euthanasia rate this week while they're renovating to build more space. And incentivize people getting their pets spayed and neutered. I don't know that I'm ready to say mandate it, although I would appreciate that, but I think we just need to incentivize it. We need education so people know why that stuff's important. So those are my three main platforms. It's healthcare for you and your family, workers' rights, and animal protections. Thank you for hearing me out. Oh, anybody, so I didn't see who was first. Catherine. I really like that because that is a source I've had to educate myself a lot on the last year, especially being a young Dems talking at different levels, because I didn't realize how much coordination goes into these different, I felt they were very isolated, but they're not. So, well, I think if we have real partners like you in the U.S. Senate that could really help, I think that would make a big difference. But, I mean, you look at Representative Clyburn, the amount of money he's brought into this district and the number of projects that have taken off because of his work. I think, I mean, I'm very much in favor, and this goes with constituents as well, I think there should be an open door policy and scheduled recurring communication. So ideally, I think that there should be like a federal sit down with people in the State House like every, month or so or twice a week or however. I know everybody's got packed schedules. And as far as the local goes, I think that I can safely say the local county councils, they know the ins and outs of what their county needs so much better than those that are coming like broad expanses. So what I mean by that is I think from federal dollars flowing to state, I think the state legislator needs to then be responsible to make sure it's going to the right projects at local level without micromanaging them, saying, I'm giving you this money for shelters, you have to go expand this. It should be like, we're doing this to increase shelter space, so work that into your budget and figure out where that makes the most sense. Something like that. So it's more of, like you're saying, cooperation instead of a mandate. I think that makes more buy-in and it gets better results for everybody. Oh yeah, yeah, me too. Zane.
Not just for you, but for me and Julie as well. Would you be willing to support a bill to actually pay student teachers?
Yes, I would.
Yeah, just in case,
No, go ahead.
just in case this is your first time hearing me talk about this stuff. To do the conventional routes of becoming a teacher in South Carolina, you had to major in education in college, and if you want to be a high school teacher, you had to double major. And once you're a senior in college, you have to take 1 semester of unpaid labor.
Hmm.
And by unpaid labor, you can't have a job that, quote, interferes with it. So you either work very little hours or you don't work at all. Meanwhile, you need to eat. You gotta get gas to get to the school. And if you're renting off campus, you need to find that rent. Or if you're still paying for your tuition, you need to get that money into the treasury somehow. Meanwhile, you're not making any money. So who is able to afford this? It's probably someone who grew up in a 2-story house and who's never had to eat off of food stamps.
Mm-hmm.
And considering the amount of low-income children, we need teachers who know that struggle, who have been evicted, who have eaten government cheese.
Government cheese. Some of the best cheese ever. But I have some personal experience with that. When I was 14, my mom decided to go back to college because she quit college when my mom and daddy got married, like a lot of women did in the 70s. She wanted to be a nurse. And so when that happened, my dad not only taught school, coached, but he worked another job. So we were out she was a teacher's assistant. She worked in all the schools. Somehow my parents ended up being in all the schools I ever went to. So I didn't get her away with anything. But when she did student teaching, she finally graduated. Guess what? She didn't get paid, right? And so that set them back. And I think it took my parents about 10 years to finally catch up. I was going through college. We had student loans, Pell Grants. Then my sister went to Erskine. And so it was a lot. And I think that we should have some sort of funding within the education department and probably have someone that's been in the classroom running our education department, not someone that got a master's degree from a school that's not accredited for education in 6 months and then run for education. That's crazy to me. But that's a big thing, and that's kind of one of those hidden things that it takes, but people don't talk about it.
Yeah, that's true.
And, you know, you probably, since you were a teacher, but I just have a personal connection, and I saw how that, you know, affect. We were so excited about my mama finally graduated. She was a special education teacher, and she double majored. But then, you know, it took another 6 months. Is it 6 months? It used to be 6 months back in the 90s. But, you know, it took that to actually finally then get a job. And where we lived in Saluda, she couldn't find a job, so she had to drive from Saluda to the airport for 25 years.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and I do that because I was able to get a history degree, but because I couldn't afford to be a student teacher, I missed out on the education degree. So
Yeah, that's
it's
not cool.
personal for me too.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna say maybe 2 more questions, and then we gotta cover a couple more things, and then we'll wrap it up.
I wanted to get to Mark's question about data centers.
Okay, let's have Tim,
Okay.
and then Stephen, you've spoken on the data centers. Do you have any
Sure.
questions,
No, the only other thing I want to say with data centers is I don't think that it's, Senator Hott put out a lot of information about this last week. I don't think it's reasonable that we can ban them. What I do think we can do is say the extra water and electricity that you have to supply that. So the cost of it, building whatever infrastructure is needed for that I do think the data center should be responsible for. And I'll just leave that there.
And I'll just add to that, one of my platforms is conservation. I hear from a lot of folks out where I live, conservation, protecting, hunting and fishing, because guess what? If we don't have wildlife or water, when people go deer hunting or dove hunting or fishing,
recreational marijuana. Can you get it pushed through? And if so, what percentage do you think we should get a good tax on, and where should those funds go?
Oh, I love that question. You're not gonna like my answer. I think that this is my problem. I don't take issue with it in premise. My problem is I would need somewhat, so like prescription drugs, I trust the process of how they make the market. Marijuana off the street, I don't know who's making it, or like if they're, you know, I don't know how do we validate the source? That's what my primary issue is. So like if I knew that the source was pure and I knew they were not driving, then I would be more interested in it. But until I don't feel like I know, I don't feel like I can safely say that it's not laced with fentanyl, that it's not laced with X. You see what I'm saying? Like that's my concern with it. But I do think it'd be a big economic driver, and we've got so much illicit use of it now. I am interested in that idea, but I just want the like supply of it to be more somehow regulated. Yeah, yeah.
Agreed.
Thank you guys. I wanted to only other thing, I have a kickoff party at my house in Coldstream. I'm gonna pass some invites out. Please come. There's gonna be a ton of food and drinks, and please come if you're able.
Okay, I'm gonna try and go rapid fire. The only other thing that I really would like to cover are some important dates that are coming up. Obviously, the No Kings protest is on March 28th. We will be tabling, and we will also have some people speaking on behalf of YDCM. There is rolling around on one of these slides, and we will share this in the chat, tabling sign up. We would like for you to help us table. It will be, I'm sure, a hot day, and the more people we have out there, the better. The other thing that I would like to talk about is our YDSC convention. That is happening on April 4th. It will be likely in this building, but the convention will be virtual. We will be having chapter watch parties. So please plan to put that on your calendar. I know it's kind of last minute, but YDSC is trying to get everything together so that we can be prepped to go to the YDA spring meeting in New Orleans. So there's that. Please put that on your calendar. Again, we'll boost that in the chat. The other thing that's also rolling around here, you can see the conventions that are still coming up. We do have a state convention on May 30th, and then obviously the YDA spring meeting is in April. If you are in Lexington, Orangeburg, or Fairfield, convention's still upcoming. Please attend. Register to be a delegate. We need it. And I think...
One last thing. Richland County, we still have 22 male presenting slots that need to be filled for delegate. If you are not already if you are male and not already a delegate for the convention, let me know, let our peers know. Mackenzie Watson, if you see her around, we can put your name up at the executive committee meeting that will happen on the 26th.
Okay.
And if you are a woman, I believe some alternate slots are available. So don't let the fact that.
The only other
All
thing...
women are filled, but the men aren't, basically.
Right. As per usual, not to be a hater, but
It happens every year.
sorry, it happened last year too. Okay, only other thing is we will be having our second monthly meeting on the 25th of this month. Right now, we're keeping it kind of open, but considering the No Kings protest is on the 28th, we're planning on making that kind of a protest prep kind of deal. Come make some signs, come hang out, eat some snacks, have a good time. We'll socialize.
Location, TBD.
Yes, location will be announced in the chat. Do we have the Hoot this Friday?
Yes.
The Hoot this Friday to continue supporting our queen, Can You Pleaser. And I think that's it. Is there, yes, Wes?
I actually do.
Okay, yes, Wes is gonna come up and speak, and then we're gonna wrap it.
All right. Perfect. It's crazy that the person complaining couldn't be bothered to be here for the full meeting.
Well, I'm sorry.
So thank y'all. Two quick things. First off, D&D. I know we've talked a little bit about this. Due to some personal stuff, it's going to get pushed back a little bit into April. But if you're interested, come see me. It's going to take 2 sessions. So it will be one, just going over teaching people how to play and what the game is. The next one will be actually playing and having fun. I promise the first one will be enjoyable, even if it sounds like homework. 2 was for you, actually. The signal chat update. I forgot. I was gonna let you do it.
Okay. Another final thing. Two more final things, actually. We are moving everybody to a brand new signal chat. That is happening tomorrow. Woo! It's finally happening. The message has been sent a couple of times in the chat. Please react to that message so we know what and where to add you when we do new chats, because that will be very helpful. There was one more thing that I was going to throw in here, and I don't remember what it was, so.
I can add something. Motion to approve the minutes for,
Second.
He's got to finish first.
For February 25th.
Second.
Okay, 911. Meetings for February approved. Excellent job. Oh, candidates in the room. We are tabling at No Kings. Bring me your literature so that we can have it on our table and talk about how wonderful you are. Excellent. Thank you, guys.
Bring sunscreen. It is bright.
Bring sunscreen. It's going to be hot, but we do have a tent.
I'm going to.
Thank you guys so much for your time. Have a wonderful night.